Alright all, so I've had this BMW E9 3 litre CS 1973 for about 5 years now, and I thought I would share my experiences. It's just about to go in, whilst the paint looks really good, it's just about to go in and have about 4 months worth of work on it, completely stripped back and all of the paint done, because these do hide rust. That's the Achilles heel on these, one of a few things. So I thought I'd just talk a bit through the car, and whilst the car looks like a 9 out of 10 in terms of its quality and its paint, there's a couple of areas which you've got to look for when you're buying an E9, and there's also a lot of mechanicals and bits and pieces that it's worth keeping an eye out. So literally it goes into paint in about half an hour. So before I do that, I thought I'd just give you guys a bit of a rundown on what it is like to own the E9, what to look for, and some of the rust spots and things to consider when buying. So as mentioned, some of the key things to look at on the car when you first buy them are they have a habit of, particularly on the sunroof models, the water comes in through the top of the sunroof and works its way down the back here and then all the way down to the bottom. So what you find is that the rust in the bottom here, the bottom quarters, rust from the inside out. And the same with the doors. The water gets in through the top of these seals here. I've actually replaced my seals, as you can see here. And then all of the rust starts to come in. As you can see, it's bubbling on mine a little bit down here. So this is the thing, that's the telltale sign. And we've had a bit of rain in Queensland of late, so mine's starting to come in. And then also on the front of the door there, you can start seeing it come in there. If I also open the door, another thing to look for on these is underneath the door, you can start seeing all of the rust coming in underneath there. That's where the repair job wasn't done very well. I had the bottom of these doors done and replated. They didn't do the job very well, so the rust is coming through again. Another area where they rust is just behind here. The water comes in through these the seals here and sits underneath here. So behind here there's a bit of rust, and I'll also open up the bonnet in a minute and show you there. So the two key points, the bottom here, the rear quarters, and they also sometimes rust behind the lights here. I've just been to have a look at 2 other E9s being done, and they rusted all on behind the lights, all underneath here, and mine went across the back bonnet. I had that done just before I put this on. But generally speaking, it's quite hard work. You've got to take these things right back, and you've got to do a sort of bare metal. And also these guards that sit at the bottom, they hide a lot of gremlins as well. So once you pull those covers off, you can also see that there's a lot. I mean, to look at this car, I won an award last year, so to look at, it's pretty mint, but in reality they hide a lot of gremlins. So we'll have a look under the engine bay next, and I'll tell you a little bit about that and what I've had done there. Just before we do that, actually, some of the modifications that I made. This is the 3 litre CS, and as we know, the CSL, the lightweight model, comes with the aluminium arches. So what I've done is I've added on this front lip. I think I just got that on eBay. I've put some Gaz Gold adjustable suspension on, so I can raise heighten or put this up or put it down. They're really nice actually over the road, really nice handling. There is I put these replica Alpinas, you wouldn't even know. I mean, they're slightly staggered as well, so you've got a slightly deeper dish on the rear wheel. And I got these for, I think it was €1,200 delivered. And at the time I was living in Dubai, so €1,200 delivered. I think that's on Cerchiepoca.it. I'll share in the link. But yeah, so I've added the stripe as well, got that on eBay, the shocks, the wheels, the front splitter, and also the rear, which I think I got at Jaymic in the UK, and had those sprayed up. This is the look I was going for. I also did a complete change on the interior. The blue was a bit funky, something like you'd wear with a pair of flares in the 70s. I took all of that velour out and I put the red leather, really nice soft Italian leather, by a mate of mine, and I also did the carpets to black from the blue. You've got the original Nardi steering wheel there. This is an auto, and quite frankly, I know a lot of people change it to manual, but I quite like it. This is my chill car to take the kids out, and you know, you can get the kids in the back there, very comfortable. I had all the rear parcel shelf done. These also have a habit of sagging, these sun visors. I had all those redone. So yeah, the interior now is exactly how I wanted it, and I just love the fact that you've got this pillarless window. The kids go along and they've got their heads out the back of the window. It's just great, you know. I mean, it's such a cruisable car, and as we know, the values of these are just going up and up. But yeah, no need for me to transfer to manual because, you know, quite frankly, it drives nice enough as it is. The splitter on the front is very nice. I love that shape. There's lots of different options. I personally prefer that one. I think I got it in Sweden, I think it was, and have it delivered. And then these nice little things, little touch, like I got a 20-year anniversary rally badge that I got, again, on eBay, but one of the guys there. The rest of the stuff is actually really good. I put new badges on it. All of the grille work, all of the lights and everything else are all pretty good. So let's have a look under the bonnet, shall we? Just before we open the bonnet, here's the bonnet latch underneath the driver's steering column. And I thought I'd just show you a really good place to look. Up here, see this? This is where they rust. I've only got a little bit of surface stuff there, that's not too bad. This is all going to be done when it goes in a minute. But that's something to keep an eye out. You gotta do that, and then on that side, you got to drop down the passenger box there and have a look up to the top right behind that, because again, they hide a lot of gremlins. So here's the engine. It's a straight 6 3 litre. I've just actually had the carbs rebuilt on these, which made a massive difference. I've also had all of the ignition, all the wiring done as well. The engines aren't that quick, you know. It's compared to a modern car, it's probably no quicker than a Yaris, to be honest with you. So personally, I don't see any point in putting a manual in. A lot of people put the E46 M3 engine in, which is a nice way to go, but I wanted to keep this pretty original, and this is the original engine. Generally speaking, a lot of the maintenance things that I've had to do on this engine, I've just had all the, aside from the suspension, I just had all the struts done, all the linkages. They do wear out on these, so you could feel that from the jiggling around a bit on the road, making a bit of a noise. The carbs have just all been rebuilt because it was running a bit rich. It's finally time to do it. As you can see, we cleaned up all of the inlets. But yeah, the main things to doing on that were all of the electricals, all of the ignition, the timing, the carbs, and no major engine work yet, because these are pretty good engines, so they don't suffer, as far as I'm aware, from any sort of oil starvation like some cars. So everything else is pretty good on it. One thing also to mention is they also rust. Now that I've got this open, they also tend to rust around here, and see where the water sits in here. I've got a little bit coming in through there, and you get a little bit on the top of the suspension mounts there, and then also on the back of the bonnet. As you can see, they're pretty much rust everywhere. Just here around these, a lot like my 550 Maranello, the water comes in and sits around the grille. And then also down here, this one's actually been repaired. So there's a lot of places where the water sits, and for the Germans, quite frankly, I can't believe they didn't even think about things like this with the water not draining out. But that's why with the E9s, it's a killer. And now I'm here in Australia, where it costs an absolute ridiculous amount to respray stuff. I've managed to get a bit of an agreement with someone to get a bit of a reasonable price, but other than that, the engines are pretty easy to maintain. It's not been too bad, you know. Had a leaky power steering pump and steering rack, managed to sort those out. Obviously the usual new fuel filters, fuel pumps, the usual. I think I probably spent on the mechanical work probably around about, what's that, 5,000 Aussie, what's that, it's about £3,000 on it, which isn't too bad at all, considering the values of these now, which are, you know, 40, 50,000 pounds for a nice one, going up to in Australia anyway, over $100,000 now, even for even for an auto. This is a left-hand drive because this is actually an African car which I bought in Dubai but came from Japan, so it's been all over the world and now in Australia. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the car in for the paint, and I'm going to do videos as we go showing all of the strip down, where all the rust parts, which you'll be able to see, and then give various updates to see how things are going and what it's like to strip down and restore an E9. So there you go, there's a little bit of an overview of the E9. I strongly recommend picking them up because the prices are going up astronomically at the moment. Even for the CS and the CSI, the later one with the fuel injection as well. This one's obviously the CS with the carbs. Certainly something to get hold of, but not for the faint-hearted. As long as you go into it and you're willing to do a bit of work, it's, I have to say, this gets so many comments, so many views when I'm driving around, and it's such a cool car. The lines on it are just beautiful. Obviously followed through to the later M5s and everything else. It just, you know, fantastic cars. So anyway, I'll give you updates as I go over the course of the next 3 months I think it's going to take to do the paint. And yeah, you know, you can like and subscribe, I don't mind. At the end of the day, I'm just doing this to be able to share the experience of what it's like to do the rest cell on an E9, and I hope you guys find it useful. Cheers.